I don't know whether you know that long, sad wind that blows so steadily across the hundreds of miles of Midwest flatlands in the summertime. To me, it's one of the most melancholy things in all life. It comes from so far, and it blows so gently, and yet so relentlessly. You could, and you do, wear out your lifetime on the dusty plains with that wind of futility blowing in your face. Ernie Pyle.
At the turn of the 20th century, on the very western edge of Indiana in the town of Dana, most villagers were farmers who tended to small plots of land, attempting to carve out a meager life for themselves and their families. On August 3, 1900, Ernest Taylor Pyle was born in a home south of town and grew up here in this small farmhouse, the only child of a Dana farm couple, Maria and Will Pyle.
It was a hard life. They got paid maybe $1 a day, Mr. Pyle did, and maybe they'd get a gallon of milk or some eggs or something, but it was a hard life when they were first married.
They always called him Ernest. Though Pyle greatly admired his mother over the years, physically and emotionally he was built much more like his father. Sporting a thick crop of curly red hair, he grew up tiny and frail, calling himself Indiana's greatest skunk trapper, jelly eater, horse hater, and snake afraider of.
This wasn't a big strapping kid that took to physical labor easily. It was very, very hard. It was very hard physically, and he wasn't suited to that life.
He was quoted once as saying that anything has to be better than looking at the south end of a horse that's heading north. And he just didn't see his life hitched to a horse that was plowing a farm field.
One thing Pyle did seem to have an inclination and passion for was writing, even from his earliest days.
One year when Ernie, I think, was in the 5th grade, his mother said, Aunt Nancy wants some sugar molasses cookies, and I'm baking her some, but she also wants the recipe, so would you please sit down there and write that recipe out for her? He decided to write a poem about it. Bring molasses to a boil. This is fun, no work, no toil. Add shortening, ginger, soda in milk. This will make it smooth as silk. Add flour next and then the salt. When this is done, you'll call a halt. Place near together on buttered sheet. They'll all look nice and very neat.
He'd always say, oh, I wish I had a brother to play with, because he's the only child, and he had no one to play with. And he'd beg at his mother and I to play with him once in a while, but he was quiet, a very quiet child, quite mannered.
Young Pyle had a thirst for adventure. His imagination was fueled by newspaper and magazine articles and picture postcards that featured exotic, faraway lands. Those burning desires were only fanned when he joined his father for a couple of business trips to the state capital in Indianapolis, about 75 miles east. The hustle and bustle of the city ignited in Pyle a type of wanderlust to explore life far away from his quiet country home. As a teenager, he had his first opportunity to attend the Indy 500.
I would rather win that 500-mile race than anything in this world. To me, there could be no greater emotion than to come down that home stretch, roaring at 130 miles an hour. Those 500 exhausting, ripping miles behind you, your face black with grease and dirt, 100,000 people yelling and stomping their excitement. I have dreamed of myself in that role 1,000 times. Ernie Pyle.
Many young Americans especially wanted nothing more than to leave that farm behind as soon as possible. And Ernie Pyle certainly was one of those.
He just had this desire to go elsewhere and to really find out about the world.
In the spring of 1917, Pyle saw the first opportunity to escape the doldrums of Dana when President Wilson announced that the United States would be committing U.S. forces to the Allied cause in the Great War. Still 1 year shy from being allowed to enlist, Pyle watched in frustration as one of his closest classmates enlisted, then left Indiana for the battlegrounds of France.
My friend was almost a year older than I, so he left for the Army in 1918. He sent me postcards from Texas. At commencement exercises that spring, there was an empty flag-draped chair on the stage for him. I could hardly bear to go to commencement. I was so ashamed I wasn't in the Army, too. Ernie Pyle.
The following fall, Pyle enlisted in the Naval Reserve and traveled to the Great Lakes Naval Training Station in Chicago. But before he could begin his military training, world leaders announced an armistice that brought a halt to the war and to Pyle's plan to flee Dana. He was now 18, a high school graduate, and destined for a life of labor on the farm. For Ernie Pyle, any other opportunity would do. Luckily for him, the next possibility for Pyle, and for more than 2,200 other students his age, was just kicking off a new semester 90 miles southeast of his hometown at Indiana University in Bloomington.
I think he had a curiosity for life. He had a curiosity for people, for places, for experiences. He wanted to get out in the world and see what was there and find out about things.
Nearly everyone who has ever attended Indiana University will tell you there's not a place in the world like Indiana. They are thinking of spring days when the campus is bursting with new leaves and when the moon is bright. They're thinking about the autumn evenings when dusk has settled and another football game has become a memory. They are thinking about hundreds of wholesome, pleasant people who are their friends. Ernie Pyle.
And that was really the start of his seeing a wider world. He took every opportunity that he could find to get outside of Bloomington, too, to travel, was the manager of a baseball team, and traveled around the Midwest.
He had that sense of glory of America, of the individuals in America, the people that made America. He was of them, and it wasn't hard for him to write of them. They were his people.